Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Angela and I'm an angelic Arcturian starseed. And today I wanted to transmit to you guys about transcending fear and suffering. I did do a video on this last year, but I think I want to redo it and just kind of reiterate and go over some of the things that I talked about in that video about how I have personally been able to transcend both fear and suffering. Not completely, because I'm still a human being, but from where I was just 3 years ago, I have really managed to come a long way. So I just want to share with you guys, especially at this time, how I was able to do that. So in order to transcend suffering, we first have to learn to transcend fear. And the best way for me that I have found to transcend fear is to understand that A, fear is an illusion, and B, fear is a frequency. And if it's a frequency, then we can choose whether or not to reside in that frequency. And it's only an illusion because we can't die. And once you understand that you're an eternal being, that you are incredibly powerful, bigger and more beautiful and magnificent than you could ever imagine yourself in a human body, when you understand that that's who you really are, not this limited flesh and body human being, then that kind of gives you a greater perspective and a greater power over your existence. And once you're able to get higher perspective on your existence, then it's a lot easier to see the illusions of fear and how fear programs play out in our society and how much fear is programmed into us from the time that we are children, especially about death. We are taught to be terrified of death, that it is the worst thing that could ever happen to us. But the truth is it is a very natural experience, and it's one of the best things that can happen to us. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but once we have passed on, we have completed a level, an experience, but there's a lot that happens after that. It doesn't end when the physical body dies. Your soul continues to go on and carry out a plethora of other duties in a multidimensional universe. So when you can kind of get that perspective on things, that fear is not real, like many things in the Matrix are not real, it's easier for us to be able to overcome that and overpower the fear when it comes to us. So what I do is when I start feeling fear frequencies coming on, especially like for me, it was like about money a lot that I would stress out. And as soon as I would start stressing about money, I was emitting a frequency, a fear frequency of lack and disempowerment. And so I was bringing more money problems to me. And so one of the first things that I had to learn to do was, when bad things would happen, like financially, say I'd take some kind of bad financial hit, I would have to learn how to not react and instead just stay really, really neutral emotionally, as neutral as possible, and try not to go into a state of fear and disempowerment and lack, and just stay in a neutral emotional place. And that takes practice. When the fear comes on, you have to be conscious of it. You have to realize, oh no, here comes that fear frequency again. And then be able to take control of that fear by using your mind to remind you that fear is a frequency, fear is an illusion. I would say things like, fear doesn't live here anymore. I'm not a slave to fear. And those kind of things really gave me my power back a little bit at a time. So with practice, you can really start to take control of fear when it comes in, at least control of the way that you respond to fear. And you learn how to not allow it to have the same effect on you that it did when you were unconscious and when you were running those subconscious programs of fear. So you kind of learn how to step outside of fear and see it from an objective point of view. Once you start to overcome fear frequency and learn that you can control and navigate fear, then you begin to see your suffering start to dissipate more, because then you become empowered to be able to take that same look that same perspective on your entire life. Like, what in my life is serving my highest good and what is not? What is empowering me? What is disempowering me? And if you have to make a list, make a list. But make sure that you have a clear vision on what it is that's holding you back, what it is you want, and what it is you need to do to get there. And if you want inner peace and happiness and calm spirituality, or whatever it is that you're looking for, if you just want to get out of fear and suffering, period, it's a really good idea to be able to navigate and have these higher perspectives of your life and be able to see very clearly what it is that is wrong with it. And so once you have that picture of what's wrong with it, you just start picking stuff out. And we have to get to this perspective where we begin to cut out toxic people. We look for better jobs if our job is something that really is toxic to us or causes us a lot of misery and pain. Or, work on starting a business. Like, there's a solution to every problem, but a lot of times we can look at the whole picture and be like, oh, this is too overwhelming, I can't change all of this right now. But what you really want to do is just start small. Just start making little changes. For me, I started cutting out toxic people first. That was it. As soon as someone betrayed me, lied to me, double-crossed me, whatever they did, I would kick them out. If they stole from me, that was it. I just cut them off and I didn't give them any more chances. And so that put me in a place where I was able to heal, because I didn't have all this negativity like constantly coming at me from toxic people that were draining my energy. I personally needed the time and space to be able to heal, and part of getting there was getting all the toxic people out, because I was surrounded by them. I had them everywhere in my life. Just the worst type of vampires you can possibly think of. But I'm just such a kind-hearted person that I gave everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I was way too nice. But I've learned now that, that is a bad thing. Being too nice is not always a good thing. We want to be kind to people, but when we're nice to our own detriment, it only increases our own suffering. You might be saving someone else from their suffering, but you're just taking it on for yourself. So as I started to get rid of toxic people and was able to heal, then my vibration started to increase. And then once my vibration increased more, I would seek knowledge, and that would increase my vibration more. And I just kept doing things that were loving and kind to myself, things that empowered me. I was able to find a steady job that paid my bills and just make things work for me, because I became really conscious of what wasn't working, and I was willing to let it go. So it was just kind of this process for me of getting rid of toxic people. I had to change my mindset, which was probably the hardest part, was to change my thinking from disempowered to empowered, because I have been in a disempowered mindset and circumstances my entire life. So learning how to change my thoughts has been very challenging, but it's also been very rewarding when you can see your life change as a result of taking these steps. For me, I ultimately ended up having to leave the job too, because I had a job that was undervaluing me, underpaying me, and just not meeting my needs, essentially. And so I had to be willing to let that go, and I had to let a lot of things go that were familiar, that were comfortable, that I had known my whole life, and really put myself out of my comfort zone, where I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's around the corner, but I know that it's not going to be what I left behind. So, it's a process that we go through. If you're following your spiritual path, you're probably being taken down this process naturally in your own way, the way that's right for you. But if you're struggling with it and you keep finding yourself falling back into states of disempowerment, it's probably because there's something that you're not seeing, you're not understanding. It could be shadow work that's getting in the way, some part of your ego or personality that you need to work through or become aware of. And it's really uniquely personal to everyone, but I have been able to really pull myself out of suicidal states of suffering and disempowerment by getting rid of toxic people, by changing my thoughts, by letting go of those things that don't serve me, by loving myself, and by following my spiritual path and staying out of fear. And it's really boosted me into a whole new vibration of empowerment and self-love. And when you reach the vibration of empowerment and self-love, everything just starts going your way. Things just start coming to you, anything that you need. You develop a trust for the universe that your needs will be met, and they do get met because you believe that they will. Anytime you start catching on to subconscious programs of worthlessness and disempowerment of any type, you're able to override that and replace it with positive, loving, and powerful thoughts about oneself. And so 99% of it is in the mind, and the rest of it is in your external circumstances. And if your external world is a complete wreck, it's a very close projection of what your internal world looks like. And as your internal world comes more into balance and comes more into peace and calm, then your external world follows. And that is essentially, for me, the way that I have been able to overcome fear and suffering. So I hope that helps you guys. If you have any questions, please just leave me a comment. And I'm also doing some mentoring on Facebook in my group Starseed Nation. The link is below if you're interested, where we're just offering some free guidance and mentorship for people on the path who could use a little extra help. So don't be afraid to check that out, or you can message me directly on Facebook. That's where I'm at most of the time. You can also find me on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. I'm on all those platforms now. So if you watch me on TikTok, I do daily messages there. So if you're interested in that, just follow me on TikTok. And yeah, guys, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.